again, Omar. Most people say, when you top the league after 3 games and someone goes, you're top of the league. Most people look at you and go like, mate, you shouldn't even look at the league table after 5 game weeks. So that's my opinion is that a title race doesn't start game week 1 because then every one of the 20 teams is in
it.
But
Dan is also right. Dan is also right because the title race does start because you can lose it. You can lose the title race.
Spurs were in the race.
His perspective,
Spurs were in the race for 10 games last season, and then they fell away. But they were in the race.
Again, can I just explain it? Like, again,
I do. I think
Sorry, Gal. I'll come to you next. Let David finish his point, then we'll go to Gal next.
Again, you can lose it, but the reason I say it starts later is because I look at it like an F1 race where you qualify for it. So if you qualify in P18, right, for the race, realistically, you ain't gonna win it.
You're just not. Hang on, that's not true. How much money in P18?
But if you're in first, you've got a better chance of winning it than if you're in 18th. You can't.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean you're not in the race.
But David, this is what I don't understand. Yeah, as a fan, you want us to win the league, though, ideally, right?
Yeah, of course, I'd love us to win the league.
So you're open to the idea of us winning the league.
Yeah.
Is more likely than it has been than it was at the start of the season. Like right now, you feel like okay, this conversation.
Right, yeah. Every game week that goes on, and we win, the chances of us winning the league increase.
So out of the league, that obviously we're 2 points behind Liverpool. Game in hand, they ain't been played, so we're 2 points behind Liverpool. Yeah. Out of the top 4 teams, the likeliness of us winning the league, how high would you say it is?
I'd say currently. I'd say we have the 4th best chance of winning the league.
How many points? Hang on, CB. How many points, David, do you think Chelsea are capable? This Chelsea side are capable of getting by the end of the season? Over 80?
Absolute positively, like the absolute best they can do.
Yeah, on the evidence you've seen so far.
I'd say in between 80 and 85.
Right. I think if you're getting between 80 and 85. And you finish the season in those sort of numbers, you've been in a title race the whole season. Because you've been.
Do Chelsea have a better chance than Arsenal, David?
No,
100%.
What?
Yes, they do. Okay, guys. If we all jump in right now, we're not going to understand why. So David say why they don't, and they're going to get CB to say why they do. David,
we have 22 games left of this season. If you ask most fans, and I have this belief as well. I believe that considering Arsenal are only 4 points behind us, in 22 games, they are more likely to catch us than we are to finish ahead of them.
I think when do you know what? Do you know when that moment is? Oh, go on, Terry.
Sorry, I wanted to ask, is that because you think Arsenal still have a more experienced squad, a better squad, manager? Like, what are you putting that down to?
My logic is that. One, I predicted Arsenal to win the league, so I thought they were going to be the best team in the league anyway. Plus, on top of that, they have a more recent history of performing very well and finishing seasons very well. So I'd still say to this point, with them only being 4 points behind us, they can still win the league. Right. And I'd say that this Chelsea team in this current state, I've only seen them for 16 games. So even if they replicate this form, we still haven't finished the season. So I don't have enough of a data sample to say, oh yeah, we're going to do it over 38 games.
Okay, firstly, you just said Arsenal finished the season. You've seen examples of Arsenal finishing the season strong. Last year, they were the top of the table for the majority of the season and fell off a cliff after the Aston Villa games. The season before that, they drew games.
One game out of 17. Get it right.
Listen, I'm not trying to.
CB, get it right. Don't chat shit.
I don't want to hear the whole.
18 games, we lost 1 game. That's
but that game,
crazy, bro.
That game impacted you finishing the
but
season.
That's the thing.
Later on
in the season, you can't deny that defeat. But that defeat impacted you.
No. CB, just get your facts right.
Let me just finish what I'm saying.
Get your facts
right. The season before that, they drew 3-3 to Southampton. They dropped points to Manchester City. Late on in the season, that West Ham as well, and it cost them. So time and time again, Arsenal, when it comes to like April times, even in my lifetime, really as a football fan, when it touches April, they fall off a cliff. So for you to say Arsenal are going to come late on in the season, and
Henry, that is some shameless nodding by you. CB, they didn't fall off a cliff last season. They
I'm
just
not even
weren't.
Shameless. I've just realised can of worms here.
They just weren't as good as Man City. Let's be realistic here.
Arsenal, the season before that, their title race.
Yeah, all right. The season before is very different to the season we saw last year. We saw Arsenal improve season on season, What David's saying is he was thinking at the beginning of this season, Arsenal should improve again. No one predicted the style of football that Arteta would be playing right now. No one expected Arsenal to be relying on set pieces. And no one thought that Arsenal were going to be regressing this season rather than progressing this season.
And
so there's still a chance. There is still a chance that Arsenal, there is a chance that off the back of January, whatever happens, that Arsenal start to improve on the trajectory that we all expected this season. Because they're still the same team. They've still got the same players. They're still as hungry. They're just not where they need to be at this moment in time. There is still a chance.
Yeah, but let me just say this, because I'm literally about to go to the game, innit? So let me just, my last point before I leave, yeah? As a fan base, yeah, it really pains my heart that as Chelsea, we're here cocking for Arsenal, saying, oh, Arsenal can overtake us, the chances of us. We're fucking Chelsea, man. Have some standards at the end of the day.
I just think we're being realistic of what we've seen for the last 2 seasons.
I hate that word realistic. Was it realistic that we was going to win the Champions League in 2012? Was it realistic we was going to win it in 2021?
No, why not? No, it wasn't realistic.
No, it was not realistic.
Well,
it wasn't realistic.
Yeah. No, it happened, but it wasn't realistic.
No, why was it not realistic then?
Because you guys finished fifth in the table.
Have you looked at the teams we knocked out in that run?
Guys. CB, back to you to finish your point because I want to go to the Gal.
We wasn't expected to win those trophies. You can debate it. We wasn't expected to win it. Even the finals, Bayern or City, we've never been expected to do it. So realism, I don't want to hear it. As Chelsea, we are currently, it's December. Never ever as Chelsea fans in December, we're 2 points off a title. We're saying we're not in the title race. I've never seen that in my life. It's actually hurting me that that's the case. Even when Tuchel and Chilwell and Reece James got injured in the start of December, we were top of the table them times, and we were saying we're going for the league. That's when we were Champions League holders. The fact that the standards have gone to this point, it worries me. This is why
the standards haven't gone anywhere. My standards are still.
You're scared to say you're in a title race against Liverpool and Arsenal. It's not that we're in a title race with City.
One.
No, but I'm not talking to you directly, Dan. I said fans that I said.
Yeah, okay. So,
but we're in the title race.
At this point in time, we are speaking to each other and David and the rest of the panel.
And but David is saying he don't want to be in the title race. I'm saying
he don't want
you. That we're not in the title race. That we're not in the title race. We're in a title race right now with Liverpool and Arsenal, who are perennial title bottlers. They are perennial title bottlers. They never get the job done in title races. Why are you scared?
You should just keep shouting.
Like, why are you scared?
No one's scared. All David has said is he doesn't. David has said quite clearly that he doesn't believe the title race has started yet. If Chelsea are in this position when he can see the light at the end of the tunnel, then I bet he'll say we're in a title race. I think 100%. It starts from game week 1. I've said we're in a title race. What I will say, though, is that I believe when I've seen Chelsea in title races before, and I've been confident to say that this team are good enough to go and win the Premier League, I don't actually think this team is there right now. I think points-wise, we're very, very close. We're in a good position, but teams around us are faltering unexpectedly. Will that continue? We'll have to wait and see.
Gal, just to end that part of the segment before we get the score predictions, right now, when you look at the title race, who do you think is going to finish higher still out of Arsenal and Chelsea, in your opinion, mate?
I look at Chelsea and I see a mirror reflection of ourselves during that season when the World Cup happened. We just finished outside of the top 4. Our aim was to get back into the top 4, and we found ourselves in a position where we're much higher in the table earlier in the season than we expected, and the conversation of title talks begins. At that time, I did not think Arsenal were in a title race until we came back after the World Cup and we continued to progress and play well. Also, I did not think going into that season we were ready to even compete for the league. Quickly, things can change and you can make 1 or 2 signings to put yourself in a situation where you could actually go on to win it. Right now, can Chelsea be in a title race until April, May? Potentially. But will they go and get the job done? I don't think there's any evidence yet to say that they will get the job done until they go and improve that defense by going and making a goalkeeper signing and maybe a defender signing. And if they do that in January, everyone open up your eyes, because they have a young team and they're the next ones up. I'm not disrespecting Chelsea and saying they're not in this conversation, because they are. And it's just how long can they stay in the conversation? Because as long as they're in and amongst the pack, they're in that conversation. As for Arsenal, I do think we'll finish above them, because I do think Chelsea will not go and strengthen before they start to drop more points. Sanchez is a liability. Their defense is a liability in a whole. I'll give Cucurella and their fullbacks a lot of credit. They've been playing well. Their attack is probably the reason why they're as good as they are. because they can beat majority of the teams lower down the table, and they struggle against the teams higher up the table, in the top 6 teams. And when they start winning those games, that's when you know they're real title contenders. Because until they can go beat the likes of Man City, they can go beat the likes of Arsenal, and take points off the other teams that are going to be in the title race.
Everybody can beat Man City at the moment, to be fair.
Hey, that's fair. That's fair. But that's like the final. That's like the final step to the. That's the final piece to the puzzle for Chelsea. The signings and going and getting points off the teams higher up the table, which they haven't been able to do.
Last season, who did City beat in the top 6? Because off the top of my head, I don't remember them winning a lot of games.
No, but they still got points. My thing is
Chelsea have got points, but against everyone bar City.
Can I ask a question? Guys, we're going to get lost on something here. When we're referring to top 6, are we referring to the traditional top 6 or the actual teams currently sitting in the top 6? Because I think there's a distinction.
I'm talking about the teams, the traditional top 6. So when you play up against those teams, I see Chelsea being a little bit more flat track bullies and taking it to the teams lower down the table and wiping them out. But then when they come up against the bigger teams, their style of play does not, over the last couple of years at least, and this year, you can see that it's not necessarily ready to play those teams yet. And you can see
currently against the top 6, we're 5 out of 10 points. So
yeah. Can I just say very quickly, on Egal's point, right? That's actually a very, very good comparison, comparing this current Chelsea team to the Arsenal team that challenged for the league in 2022, 2023, right? Because yes, I think that a lot of people who were watching Arsenal that season, were some of the opposition who were not Arsenal fans were saying, yeah, Arsenal in a title race. A lot of Arsenal fans were like, we don't know, we're not sure. Let's just wait. Let's see before we do fall off, right? And I think a lot of Arsenal fans really started to believe that they were in a title race around March, April, when they were still top of the league and they were a little bit clear of City. So everyone was like, this actually we look like this is looking like it's actually gonna happen. And I feel like, and that's why I didn't really blame a lot of Arsenal fans who began to believe that they would win the league, because in that position, you should win the league, right? Now, here's the thing, right? The difference I would say between that season and this season is the team that you were challenging was Manchester City, who were juggernauts. You understand what I'm saying, right? Who were relentless. We all know how they can just go on a mad run. And that's how they were able to cut up to you guys, right? Because they started the season slow, but they went on like one of the traditional crazy winning streaks, and then they were able to get to you. The difference is this season is that City have fallen off. You understand what I'm saying, right? And I don't see any current team right now who are currently in the table right now, like Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, right, going on like that mad run. Even you've seen Arsenal this season, not the same team as well. They're not the same team. Hold on, David. Let me just finish, right? At the end of the day, Arsenal are not the same thing that they were last season. City are not the same thing that they were last season. Liverpool right now are being consistent, but even they are showing inconsistencies as well, right? So I feel like this season, right, with every single thing that is happening right now, right, if all Chelsea just need to do is just remain consistent, right? Just keep collecting wins. They don't always have to be against the top 6, like Dan said. City didn't have to beat every top 6 team, but they made sure to beat the teams that they were supposed to beat, and that's why in the end they got it done, right? So I think that's what Chelsea need to do. Just keep their head down.
I think what's so interesting about this conversation is it isn't disrespectful for someone to say, I think Arsenal got a better chance of winning the league from this stage than Chelsea. As long as you're not saying Chelsea is shit and they've got zero chance of being in any race. Equally, it isn't disrespectful if a Chelsea fan says, you know what? I think we're going to keep getting better and better and better. I don't think Arsenal are going to fix their system. Therefore, I think we've got a better chance. And the problem is better chance doesn't mean I'm saying your football club is trash. I think that's, again, about people being a little bit more intellectually honest about the conversation. And no one here has said the other team's crap. But yeah, it seems to trigger people. There is a hierarchy to it at the end of the day. And still right now, I think with Chelsea, what we haven't seen this very young squad do is there's a reason that Maresca's playing it down. There's a reason a lot of your fans online are playing this down. I don't think I disagree with CB about it being fair, scared or not scared. I think it's about not wanting to apply too much pressure too early to these young players. I think that plays a fundamental part in it. There's a reason. How many times have we seen, and I know David will know this because the amount of reactions you've been on, in the last 5-6 years, United done this and Chelsea done it too. Amount of times in top 4 race. Oh, do you know what? United and Arsenal drop points. Let's go and win at 5:30 and take advantage, and you drop points. Man United, and that's because our teams consistently for years now haven't had the ability to handle those moments of pressure. We still need to see whether Chelsea can do that on a consistent basis. Now, I'm not saying they can't, but I'm playing devil's advocate here. I understand why some people aren't going to go, yeah, I'll make them, barring Liverpool, the outright favourites after that to win the league. Arsenal are nowhere near them. City have fallen off. I think you can be in a title race and have a chance of winning, but it doesn't need to be overstated at this point. Viewers, give us your thoughts and feelings on that. I want to get on to